First panel discussion for this summit this morning, and it states the benefits and challenges of implementing a hybrid cloud strategy. The benefits and challenges of implementing a hybrid cloud strategy. And while we invite the panelists, I need us to be very geared up for this section because it's going to be a lovely one. It's actually the first section for this morning, so you know how the first thing is. So let me prepare your mind that after this section, we'll go for the tea break so that we can have our lungs and our inner system loosened up. So the panelists are, ladies and gentlemen, for the very lovely gentleman moderating the panel today is none other but the founder and CEO of Sellani LLC and ARMRICC, Armstrong. It's not other but Mr. Ndukwe Chizaram Armstrong. Please help me put your hands together for Mr. Chizaram, Mr. Ndukwe Chizaram Armstrong. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. You look so handsome. That's why you are Armstrong. Yes, it works together. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Welcome. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I have the privilege to make welcome one of our panelists. Is the communications IT manager with the Restored Hearts Foundation. It's none other but Mr. Ferdinand Batambari Alexandra. Please help me make welcome Mr. Ferdinand Batambari Alexandra as he makes his way up here. Thank you so much, sir. I have very lovely gentlemen. One of this summit is very fine. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I have the privilege to make welcome the head of ICT Animal Care. Is none other but Mr. Awoyemi. Please make welcome Mr. Awoyemi, please. He's in the building. Mr. Awoyemi, please join us. Okay, while we await his presence, I think the upload will make him come faster. Okay, also, last but not the least here on my list is the deputy CISO, CISO, and head security operations and control of Access Bank PLC, and it goes by the name Mr. Joash Omole. Please help me make welcome Mr. Joash Omole as he mounts the stage for this next panel discussion. And like I said, it's called the benefits and challenges of implementing a hybrid cloud strategy. I hand over the mic to the moderator as he picks this section from here. Ladies and gentlemen, we proceed. Thank you so much, boss.
Okay, that was a wonderful introduction. Good morning, everyone. All right. This is the final for this event. And I believe I've been having a great time. Personally, have been enjoying the event so far. And I really want to also appreciate everyone in this room for making it the time to be here. And I really recognize all the industry leaders, experts in engineering, head of departments, and several companies here that are really doing their best, both as individuals and companies, to change the game of Nigeria on the global stage and also to rewrite the history of Africa. So for this panel, we'll be talking about the challenges that we face when we move to hybrid cloud. So from yesterday, we'll be talking about several approaches to cloud, such as private cloud, hybrid, multi-cloud, as well as public cloud. So today we'll be looking deeply into hybrid clouds and how we can get there. So I have with me a panel of experts, and I don't know if I should say fortunately or fortunately, but one of my panelists here is not around. I don't know if I should wait for him, but I think we should proceed because of time. Okay. All right. So here with me is Mr. Ferdinand. I believe he has been introduced. So I think I will just keep questions for Mr. Babatunde and go on with the rest panelists. So on my first question here is talking about, this is a very interesting question personally for me, and I believe for everyone here too, because we are all part of organizations, okay? And I have worked with several organizations, especially when the organization goes big and there's a lot of heads and politics, it becomes difficult to bring in new ideas. Okay, so this question is: if you're in an organization, how do you tend to convince them to move to public cloud? In terms of how do you bypass those politics, convince your heads and actually bring in public cloud to your team? How do you do that?
Thank you very much, Mr. Armstrong. Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Armstrong. Good morning, everyone. So typically, when it comes to getting organizations to move to the public, there are usually some challenges, which is typical with anything that has to do with change. And in respect to the cloud, typically one of it would be security. That's the number one. So ordinarily, let's say an established organization that is already existing, so they are already aware of their security team, their IT team, the people they've employed. They know where their data is sitting. They know where each server is located, how it's set up, the profile of the people working there. So there is some level of confidence coming from the client or the organization, so to speak. So when you're trying to get them to move to the public, one thing is to, first of all, try to make them understand. I think education is key here. So you need to educate the client or the organization, so to speak, on things such as shared responsibility. So they need to understand what they are responsible for, and also what the cloud service provider is responsible for. So it's very important to educate them on the responsibility and where they come in. Okay, so for when it comes to responsibility in respect to CSP, that's cloud service providers, usually they are responsible for things like the hardware, that's infrastructure, the facility where you have the servers, and the physical security as well. They're usually responsible for that, and also the virtualization layer and all that. So these are the typical responsibility of the CSP. Now, when it comes to the organization itself, they are usually responsible for things like security of the data, configuration of firewalls, and security of the application. And also things like your IAM policy, that's identity access management. So you need to make them understand that these areas are the places where you would have to take up responsibility and handle. Another area where organizations usually have concern would be with cost uncertainty. So they are not usually sure, they are unable to predict how much, or to ascertain how much they are going to spend at the end of the day. And to navigate this, what, as a professional or as an organization, a tech company trying to get an organization to move to the cloud, some of the tools available, especially with Azure, is the cost calculator. They have a cost calculator, which after your needs assessments, you can go on with the cost calculator to pick your VMs or whatever services you would be making use of. It gives you an idea of how much each service is going to cost, right? So you have an idea. For example, if you're going to need a VPN, you get an idea how much your VPN is going to cost, and also the type of VMs, that's virtual machines, you'll be using, their configurations. It also gives you an idea how much it's going to cost. So that way you're able to, an organization is able to plan upfront how much they are expecting to spend. And another way too, when it comes to the whole cost uncertainty, would be to set up like an alert system, a budget alert system. So on Azure, you have the ability to set up. Sorry, I'm focusing more on Azure, but you have the ability to set up like budget alerts. So, say for example, you have a target of, or you have a threshold of $5,000, and your VMs have used up to maybe 4,500 or thereabout. So you get a notification on an alert. So that keeps you in check, going. You don't exceed your usage and all that. So I think that's one way. So the bottom line, I think, is education. Most organizations, or moving from legacy system, don't understand the workaround when it comes to utilizing cloud services. So education is key. So you need to take out time to educate your clients. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. I think that is a very wonderful point. If you are in a very big organization where there are so many heads, so many policies, politics, and all that, one way to really scale through with a new idea is actually having a call meeting where you actually educate them. And as he mentioned, most organizations love talking about money and profit. So if you tell them this thing will give us more money, you tend to buy the heart of them. Hope you understand. Yeah, you tend to buy their heart, and I think that is one way. Education and being very plain in your proposal in terms of the cost effectiveness. All right, so Mr. Josh, I think that will lead me to my next question. If we are implementing a hybrid cloud, what is the cost effectiveness? Will it cost us more, or how do we really, and also how do we really optimize costs when implementing a hybrid cloud?
Yeah, good morning. And good morning, everyone. I think cloud has come to stay, and if you look at it, people are now adopting cloud solution more and more. And to a large extent, most of the security solutions or IT-related solutions are now moving to cloud. For example, let's use SOC solution. As at last year, over 75% of SOC solutions have moved to cloud. They are no more offering on-prem. Why? Cloud is cost effective when it comes to management, support, availability, and they're very easy to implement. You remove so many things out from your own arena and put it on the cloud provider or solution provider. So it's quite, the benefit around cloud is high and they're cost effective. In the area of cost, you need to put metrics in place. You need to determine what type of solutions or log do you want to push? What type of solution do you want to retain on-prem? Critical mission solutions should be retained on-prem. Whereby those ones that are less critical, you can move them to cloud. With that, the cost will drop drastically. In a situation where you are implementing SIEM, you have your firewall already pushing log to SOC. Why do you need the DNS to be pushed to SOC? We tried it, and within 1 week or 2 weeks, the EPS consumption almost doubled. We now ask, is there a need for this DNS to be pushed to SOC? Because firewall is already pushing related information, and then you can actually get most of this information from your firewall log. So you have to consider this area, are they critical mission? This one, is it already covered in some other areas? That is how you can actually bring down your SOC, your cost. And then in the area of metrics, you get alerts when you are over using your provisions. And for on-prem is good, but in the area of you need to acquire the infrastructure hardware. And we all know that since COVID, for you to even buy a laptop is almost times 2 the price now. You can even order for hardware. It's taking 6 months, 1 year. They are not coming through. So with this one, people are now being forced either to move to private or move to public to public cloud. So to me, public cloud is cost effective. Once you put your metrics in place, define your SLA, define your monitoring solution, because some of the things again that management consider is I'm passing my responsibility to another third party. Yeah, I want to own my security. I want to know what is going on. You get this one of the key areas, security, and to a large extent, there's also regulatory. However, even the regulators, they cannot completely avoid cloud, because there's really no organization that is still running Exchange. Most of the people have moved to Office 365. You get it now. So, from experience, the downtime is limited. It's either almost zero. So why do I need to start acquiring hardware, all those stuff, bringing people together on-prem to support what I can easily get almost at a reduced price? So I think these are some of the advantages that are cost effective and if well managed. But you need to really put a metrics in place, put strict SLA. There should be a chargeback where you think that you are not getting the necessary support, you are not getting the necessary value. By the time you charge back, the vendor will wake up. You get it now. So there must be strict measurement. Am I meeting SLA or you are defaulting? If you are defaulting, you charge back. So with that one, it will help everybody, both vendor, providers, and organizations will all benefit from the cloud availability. Yeah, thanks.
All right, thank you, sir. I think that is a very, 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 very wonderful one with some very practical perspective. Yeah, so I think from all you have said is very straightforward. It's even cheaper when you go with hybrid. Okay, you don't have to put all the responsibilities on your private setup. Okay, I currently work as a senior software engineer with a company, and everything we do, we don't even have a custom server. Everything is built on the cloud. We didn't write any custom backend, no backend. We just use Lambda functions, and everything is just on the cloud. And we have our software up and running, managed. So as I said before, hardwares are even expensive to buy, especially in Nigeria. Mr. Ago Collins will also confirm, if you order an Arduino kit, if outside of Jumia or outside of Hub 360, you order some kits, before they come to Nigeria, it takes a whole lot of time. 3 months, 6 months, just for a single part. And it's very, very expensive. So I think I'll go back to you again. Talking about organizations, as you also mentioned security, how secure it is communicating between my own setup, which is a private cloud, and a public. So having that hybrid setup, what is
thanks.
Security challenges?
The hybrid setup or architecture has to be well defined right at the initial stage, so that you know the responsibility of the cloud provider. You also know what the organization will be responsible for. Zero trust has to come in. Who am I provisioning? What is the device configuration, device, the make, the owner? All those things have to actually take part. Your firewall is very key. Now that we have a next-gen firewall, which is very good, working at layer 7, all those things, you can know who and who is coming in. You can lock down devices, you can lock down communication, you can lock down hours that you have been permitted to even connect. And with security in the area of monitoring, I know what is going on. I get alerts. And then there are some cloud security, EDR, SDR. Now I can determine the location where somebody is connecting. I can determine whatever is. I get necessary alerts. So with security, good security in place right from onset. The vendor knows what they are responsible for to keep their environment in good health. I also know what are my responsibility as on-prem organization. I know who to provision, who to give access, who to permit, and who to even the working hour that you can connect to my system is I can determine it. So I know when you are connected. If I see any other connection outside that tower, it will be rejected. So with good security in place, I think it's safe. It's safe, and encryption is also key. Let everything you are doing go through encryption, end-to-end encryption, and with shared responsibility in the area of security. So both the vendor it will be fine. Then you too, you will be able to determine who is working in your environment at any point in time. So with good security practice, framework, standard procedures implemented, on set, and they agreed by both parties. I think it's a good way. Thanks.
All right, thank you, sir. I think next time you should tell us more the meaning of your terminologies. We are not all technical, so when you talk about EDRO, STRO, I think you should just tell us what it means. Yeah, but I think that is a good one. Okay, Mr. Ferdinand, I have this question. I actually set up this question this morning because I felt like it's something worth asking. So, in a more traditional setting, let's say like a hospital, for example, where things are more private. Okay, so which public cloud setup do you think would be best for such an environment if they are trying to migrate to the public?
Thank you very much, Armstrong. So let's say you have an organization, say like a hospital, okay, and they have an existing private cloud setup. When you say private cloud, we're talking about the physical machines on-prem. Maybe they have a small server room with computers and all that. So let's say they have a patient managing application where patients are able to access their records or book doctor's appointments. So typically, at the level they are operating at the moment, maybe they have a certain amount of traffic. Could be maybe just about 100 or 200 persons accessing perhaps per day or something. So how hybrid cloud can come in that situation would be through like IaaS, for example. You can set up additional VMs on the cloud. Now, one of the benefits of hybrid cloud would be what they call cloud busting, right? So you have resources on the cloud, and you're not paying for them at the moment because you only pay as you use. Okay, so the moment there is a spike in traffic, or let's say there's an increased number of persons trying to make use of the application, so automatically there's a bus, it moves on to the cloud and pulls up additional compute resources that is needed to carry out those functions, right? So that's one way. And one of the benefits, because I mentioned earlier that organizations have issues with security. So one other way I think, I believe that I can keep your data or resources safe. Because usually when they set up VMs, they are assigned with public IP addresses, which is used to access. So you can actually put those VMs behind a load balancer and take out the public IP address. So people don't have, or users don't have a direct access to that virtual machine or resource. So traffic only flows directly from the load balancer, and the load balancer just distributes traffic to each of those VMs that are holding said data. So I think that, and also in the area of control too. Control is also it's a very key, one of the key benefits when it comes to having hybrid cloud. So an organization, just like the hospital, for example, can have their sensitive data, let's say user authentication service for doctors or for the admin staff. They can have it on their private cloud. That's on their machines on-prem. Then for the less security sensitive application, which is the front-facing app, which patients are using, then they can have that on the cloud. So in that scenario, they have complete control of what is going on, and in terms of security access or control and all that. So there's, I think that's it so far. Generally, I think that would be it. Thank you. I don't know if there's any other.
Okay. So I was actually asking which public cloud from you do you recommend? Yes.
I don't know if it's a good idea to start marketing any particular, but if you ask me if I'm being biased, I would say Azure, because based on experience in terms of using Azure. But since you've pushed me to mention that, so yes, so Azure provide also AWS as well have some amazing services. There are EC2 instances and all that, which you can use to provide additional resource for your existing infrastructure, and also Google Cloud as well. You can make use of GCP too, and then if, in terms of the hardware infrastructure, you can make use of services like your HPE to have your physical infrastructure on ground, which connects directly to your cloud service, any of your cloud service providers. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Actually, when I came for the conference the first day, we actually argued a lot about several public cloud, which is best, which is not best. So I wanted him to talk about a little bit about that. All right, thank you for that. So my next question, Mr. Joash, is for a startup, do you recommend they just go on with hybrid, or they just start fully on public? Yeah, because I've actually seen even some fintech companies that even starts all public without having like a private. So what do you recommend?
Just as I've said before, cloud has come to stay. We can't actually run away from it again, because some organizations have tasted it, and most of their security concern and the other regulatory issues are relatively addressed. However, moving from starting straight with cloud or starting from on-prem depend on the organization's architecture. Because if you already have some existing solutions working on-prem, that means you are on-prem based. However, is the on-prem offering you all the necessary services and availability and capacity utilization? So that one it will determine if I should remain on-prem. Can I easily scale up? Can I easily, just like the problem that happened a few weeks ago during election, they said the server. Everybody was crying, server. Yeah. So if it is cloud, it doesn't take 10 minutes, 20, let's even say 1 hour, increase the capacity. So now, starting from on-prem, if you have an existing solution running on-prem, you're already on-prem based. But you can now migrate gradually. Some you are just putting up unnecessary costs. So we have to remove the on-prem part of it and then completely move to cloud, which is so for organization to decide, I want to move to cloud, I want to start from cloud, or I want to move from on-prem to cloud, it depends on the existing architecture. A startup company that is not that have some flexibility, not fully in the area of regulators now or compliance. There are some solutions that you cannot fully put on cloud. There are some that the central bank will say, no, this won't do this, or other regulators will make a preference. I want on-prem or I want cloud. So these are some of the things that determine if I should start on-prem or go fully cloud. Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Although I still have a lot of questions as regards training, recruitment, and all that, but fortunately we can't take all of them. He's already standing here. So I think back to his question, I really brought that because I believe some of us have startups outside our major lines of businesses. So it all depends, as I said, compliance and all the regulations. But also, as a startup, I think you should think of going public first and after then you can start, fleshing out how to do the private. All right, thank you very much. I believe this was a wonderful time. Any questions? Yeah, any questions?
Any questions, please? We'll give room for one or two questions because of time. Just one or two questions. If you want, okay, we'll take Mr. Agu first. Then any other person? Just one person more. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. And Armstrong, thank you for the wonderful section. Just want to share information. Working for a regulator like NIDA. You see, there's a NIDA policy called the localization of data policy. I don't know if you're aware. There is that policy, which is very, very key. So there are certain sensitive data that you have to be careful where the cloud is hosted. There's some cloud facility that are already co-hosting in Nigeria with certain entities, which I may not be able to mention it now. Okay, so in hosting some of your applications in cloud, you should give preference to those ones that are onshore within Nigeria. Otherwise, there may be certain government contracts that you cannot get. We conduct the ICT-based project clearance for all the MDAs, and there are certain questions we ask when it comes to certain solutions. We want that to clear for you because we believe we have to look at the local content component of whatever project you're doing. So I think I should share with everybody just to have it in mind. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, do we have any other question? Can we have room for one more question? Just one more question. If none, then I think we must proceed. Ladies and gentlemen, one more time, please. A round of applause for this wonderful, wonderful, lovely gentleman.